is Alfred Rot. Just pay close attention.
I see you found us. The Grand Duke is waiting.
I'm so glad you accepted my invitation. Are you asking me to design for you a mausoleum? I need a visionary, like yourself, Mr. Rot. Look, I think I should get to know you better. Stay a few more days here, then decide. This island is full of surprises, Mr. Rot. I'm an architect, not a builder. This was the obscure death of the man who called himself the Grand Duke of Corsica. I hope you enjoyed your time here with me. I'll let you know when it's over.
Daniel, good morning. Jeff in Las Vegas.
Hello, how are you, Jeff? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for joining me today to talk about the Grand Duke of Corsica.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
What an interesting film, I have to say.
Thank you.
You have two stories set in Malta that are centuries apart, but somehow are connected, right?
That's absolutely correct. Very much so, yes.
And so where did the idea for this film come from?
Oh, gosh. I mean, it changed many times, obviously, as these things do. But the first sort of impetus I had for this story is when I finished my first film, which was Opus Zero, which I shot in Mexico with Willem Dafoe. And I sat down and wrote a story for a new screenplay. And I read it back to myself. And I found actually that it was quite similar to the movie that I'd just done, which wasn't really going to be good enough. But I realized that there were themes and ideas from the first one, which I hadn't sort of fully dealt with yet. So I sort of expounded on it and expanded it and so forth. And it took quite a period of time really to sort of develop, as you say, these two storylines, the architect who builds the mausoleum for the billionaire, who's slightly cuckoo, let's say, and then this actor who plays St. Francis, who obviously dies of malaria, who basically then starts the epidemic, which then affects the other story, if that makes sense. So it took quite a while. It took quite a while to get to the place that you see out in the film.
You know, and Alfred Rot, the main character in the film, is somewhat of a pervert, you know, has sex on his mind always. He's always vulgar and a difficult architect. Does he ever sell many designs?
It's a good point. It's a good point to make, actually. The only work of his that we actually see in the film is the church that he made in Galveston, Texas, all those years ago. So, you know, you're quite right. But I did a bit of research on architects and artists in general, composers, for example, poets, actors, as well as architects. And a lot of, you know, you're right, he is an offensive character. That's absolutely a correct reading. But he is based quite directly on some first-hand experiences that I have had in the past with various artists. And in actual fact, despite the sort of abrasive, upsetting personality, they do still get a lot of work done. So we just don't see it in the movie, apart from Mausoleum.
And even though Alfred Rot is odd and strange and vulgar, he enjoys the finer things of life, but his personality isn't sophisticated.
No, that's exactly correct. And that's kind of the backstory that Tim and I wrote for the character, which was that he came from very much a working class background. He didn't grow up with airs and graces or cultivated, you know, tastes in music or food or whatnot, but he does enjoy finer things. Like he's very well dressed. You know, he likes the finer things in life, but he's still actually quite a sort of a simple man with simple sort of needs as well, I think.
And Timothy Spall, what a great casting for that character, because not only does he look vulgar, you know, in all respect, you know, to him, but he just really plays this cantankerous, crass man that just by his mere appearance, you're just kind of put off.
Yes, yeah, it was an interesting casting, Tim. I don't think you'd mind my saying that we went through a lot of actors with this role. We pretty much went through the whole phone book of great British actors for this role, and they all passed because they just found it too offensive. And Tim, fully to his credit, embraced it and did a brilliant job, because the role was originally based on an actor who I knew to begin with, but then Tim made it his own. And Tim, for his part, based the character on someone who he has worked with in the past. So it is kind of founded in real people. But, you know, when you watch the movie now, people say this all the time and you never believe them, but I really can't imagine any other actor playing it the way that Tim did.
Yeah, absolutely. And Peter Stormare, one of my all-time favorites, plays the eccentric billionaire recluse. The Grand Duke commissions a monument from Rott, but it's still very ambiguous and philosophical. But the Grand Duke, once a visionary, how did he match up with Rott? That's the last thing I would call Rott, is a visionary.
Yes, yeah, I think he, probably what he liked about Rott was that he was someone who was going to put him on the right track. I think in my mind, even though we don't say this in the movie, other architects had visited the Grand Duke in the past and had been sort of scared off by him. So I think that, he probably invited Rott to his residence because he felt that he wasn't going to be put off by the Grand Duke's eccentric behavior, that he was going to just sort of cut through it. And of course, the Grand Duke's original sketches for his own mausoleum look like the pyramids of Giza. They're very grand, self-aggrandizing, to try to give himself an amazing, afterlife, which is totally unjustified in this case. And of course, Alfred sees through that, and he literally turns upside down the drawings that the Grand Duke gives him. And as he says at the end, you basically had sort of a wasted, silly, frivolous life. At least be useful in death by turning him into a tree, basically.
And that's what he says. He's like, look, you could just hire a mason. This is all simple stonework. And, but a eccentric billionaire, he just wants to blow the money for his own ego and his eccentricity.
Yes, that's exactly right. And Rott detects that fairly quickly. And that's why he stays on. He's about to leave because he thinks, oh, God, not another lunatic Howard Hughes type, eccentric. I've had enough of those in the past. He does actually, as the film progresses, come to become quite fond of him and sees what it is he really wants and needs. And that's where it ends up. Yeah.
Well, Daniel, what an intriguing film. Congratulations. And one thing I really enjoyed about it, too, at the beginning of the film, I'm a jazz fanatic. So I love the jazz argument you have in the club at the beginning.
Oh, great. Well, yeah, I'm a big jazz fan as well. And I always said to myself, I hope one day I can put a scene into a movie where someone confronts some jerk in a club who says that Thelonious Monk played free jazz. And, it's kind of like that scene in that Woody Allen film, where he pulls Marshall McLuhan from behind a pot plant and says, you don't know anything about
if only life were like this. Yeah. Well, I'm a Dave Brubeck fan, so Thelonious Monk, we could talk about that too. So
absolutely, yeah.
Daniel, congratulations. Thanks for joining me today, and I wish you the best of luck with your film.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It was a great pleasure. Thank you.